Hello everyone, Search W here. I decided to do another fair video about Tirek. This came to me about a few days ago. Ever since we have seen Scorpan when he and Tirek were originally trying to steal the magic from Equestria, but after that Scorpan had changed his mind and went back home after he informed Luna and Celestia about this. But the more question had to be asked: were Tireks' family aware what about his punishment, or were they completely unaware what happened to their son after he failed? I mean, there is very likely that both his parents were aware what happened to their son after he went to Questia, because back in his when he was just a young teenager, he He would study it under another Cantor master, which is called his mentor, an elder Cantor, and Cantor studying about the equestrian magic. And after all this happened, Tireks' family, with Disco's help, returned the pony back to Equestria as a favor to show the Equestria's rulers that they didn't want to have any particular conflict. But this might have some sort of impact in Tireks' life after knowing his parents were not interested in stealing magic from other creatures in order to be more powerful. I mean, it is very likely that Tireks' father would also be able to steal the magic from Equestria's ponies. But I don't think that he was the one who would ever do that. Consider that his father would only want to return the pony to Equestria as a good favor, not to escalate to any a war. So consider from that his mother, Tireks' mother, and his father were just kind, honest rulers. But how did they felt if they knew that their son was imprisoned for life into Tartarus? I mean, from my understanding, from I believe though, is that his parents are mostly his mother must have felt guilty, heartbroken, knowing that how far her son had gone to be more powerful and then end up in a prison for forever. After this, it's very likely that Scorpion had informed his family about this, but what he and his brother was going to do, but that he had changed his mind and instead wanted to go back, had informed the rulers of Equestria about what was going to happen, and then went home instead to help his brother. I mean, from that understanding of you, after Scorpion had told his parents about his big brother had done, and that would happen to him. But if I had to say, if that happened, what if Scorpion had returned to his homeland before that Tirek was captured by the royal sisters and put in prison? So if Scorpion had left before the Luna and Celestia captured Tirek, then he would be unaware what happened to his brother even then. Unless though that Luna or Celestia had informed Scorpion and the rest of his family about Tireks' fate. I mean, knowing that his mother would be heartbroken knowing how much deeper, how obsessive her son in power were, and that she felt guilty that she couldn't have tried to stop him or change his mind in that. And that even were, for example, and even his father might have felt very disappointment to his son, how deep he's got with his obsession of more power, more hunger after power, and that he felt maybe that his son, and that he has failed as a parent to teach his son the good deeds. and that he felt betrayed by his own son. And after this, maybe his mother had asked his father what they can do, maybe to bring him back and then try to teach him the good ways again, maybe try to convince him not to do this ever again. Even if his father might have thought about that considerately, maybe he thought maybe bring his son back home and try to convince him not to do this evil act again. But to do continue to do so might have even had considered for one mistake. Even if they managed to bring back Tirek with the sister's help, would that would it meant that Tirek would have stopped his means that his goal to try to take over Equestria and steal the magic? In my perspective, no. Even if his parents tried to convince him not to continue to do this, I don't even think they would stop. That he wouldn't stop. He would try to do that behind their back in secret. But if I had to say, what were his parents aware about their son's act back in Equestria and what happened to him? From a few points of view, it is very likely they were aware the son has what he did do. I mean, if it was a different Scorpion, if he wasn't aware what his own brother had done, it is likely that either Luna or Celestia, or perhaps both, had informed both T-Rex parents what their son had been doing. Even that with Scorpion had informed the parts what his brother had planning to do, and had asked him for help. And that suddenly Scorpion had felt change of heart, and he wanted to not want to go through the part it is in this plan to steal the magic, and that he decided to inform the Ring princesses and go home. And that might have been also when he told his parents. And after all that happened, though, it is likely that both the sisters then used the elements against Tirek, imprisoned him, put him into the Tartarus for life. So, in after all that happened, what the main question to be asked: was they informed by, then I mean T-Rex parents, were they informed by the Luna and Celestia about this? I might have to say yes. But you might think that might be too easy. Like just telling that their son is in prison and they might ask how long would he stay there? Maybe as long as he needed to he considered what he did was wrong and that he was who would be apologize for what he did and want to go home and try to be redeemed himself. But he considered how much in back in when he first was introduced, Tirek didn't seem to show any remorse of what he did. Even in the comics when he saw about his past, he was not showing any sign of remorse when his mentor showed him the pony and after what his parents had found out. I don't see. It didn't seem to be had any considered to be showing any remorse. Even when he went back in season 9, though, then when Chrysalis, that Discord in disguise of Grugar, brought all the bad villains, Kosoglo, Chrysalis, and Tirek back with and of course Sombra. But what did happen? That none of them had even considered that Tirek would have never been even showing any sign of remorse. Even when he was forced to work with Chrysalis and Kosoglo. But he seems to be showing some sort of respect to at least to them that by himself he would not have been able to take over, but with help from his allies would have been able to do that. And even when Chrysalis wanted to take care of the Windigos, but he mentioned that the Windigos are ancient magic and it would be unwise to leave them unchecked, which this seems though that even when Tirek was aware of the ancient magic, even of the topic itself, were his parents aware about his time in prison. I mean, wouldn't you been wanted to know if your son was okay after that only one of the sons had returned, but another one didn't? Knowing that only one Scorpion returned home, informed his parents what their son had been doing, and that when they asked him what happened to his big brother and where is he, if he didn't say, like I said, I don't know. Last time I saw him, he was about to take over Equestria, but still in magic. That was the last thing I said, for saw from him. And even after that, they get a letter from Luna and Celestia telling them that their son had been stopped from by using his plan to even complete his plan, and that he was put in prison for his acts against another nation. I mean, considering doing that would kind of considered putting a royalty from the kingdom in another land's prison could have been seen as an act of war. But in this part, though, I think it's very likely that his T-Rex parents was aware after that they had been informed by Luna and Celestia, and that his T-Rex father had to consider to leave his son in the prison to get some time to think what he and change his mind of this hunger of power. I mean, consider from this view. I mean, T-Rex father wants his son to be considered to forget all about his obsession to build more power. Because since he was the oldest son and the next heir in the throne of their kingdom, I mean, even consider from that being the next rule to be the next king. I mean, there wouldn't be much considering from that. But consider he wanted more power, more magic. He can, and that he would not go to another kingdom to take that. I don't think his father would even consider to forgive him after what he did against the question in the first place. Even when he was got to know that his son was in prison, it is very likely that his father felt betrayed by his own son, and that he failed as a parent to teach his son the good fit between what's right and wrong. And if that perspective, I believe that his mother, though, was also, since both of them were aware that his mother felt heartbroken what her son had done, and that he was now in prison for his acts, and that at least one of her sons had a conscience and felt guilty what he was wanted to do, and that he had changed his mind. She had hoped that her son would also change his mind after the Scorpion had done it. But when she found out that Tirek would never change his mind, that would still continue with his plan to take over Equestria, that must have made her feel heartbroken and felt as a parent. But her father, my friends, he must have felt betrayed though, that he not only not knowing that his son, had failed, had not could still continue with the plan to take over another kingdom, in that he refused to be listening to his own brothers, asking his beggars to ask him to go back home and forget all that is. But consider from his father's view, feeling that he had failed as a parent, and also the knowing that he could not have probably never been forgiving his son what he did. That means that both his parents, but that means that though both Tirek's parents were probably aware about his actions after Luna and Celestia informed them. Because if we can see from back in the episode when Tirek first was introduced, that Scorpion had returned his homeland, it seems likely that he left Equestria before that his big brother was captured. So if I had to say, Scorpion was unaware about T-Rex's fate after he left Equestria, that he was later was informed by Luna and Celestia by a letter, and that he felt betrayed and that he felt heartbroken. that he couldn't try to convince his own brother to stop the plan and go back home. I mean, knowing that his own brother was considered continue this plan, even though that there was such a risk he would fail. Knowing that his brother was in the Tartarus, knowing that Equestria was safe and that he would probably never be able to return. But since by now since the ninth finale, in that Tirek, Kusuglo, and Tirek were trapped in this stone as Discord once before. It is, but if that's in this time though, it is likely both that Tirek's parents were had passed away at some point because there was 1,000 years before since when he was first put in a prison. So So if his parents was passed away before some time before then, and it is likely that Scorpion could still have been alive and the next king, and that he and it's partly possible that he had been informed that Tirek has was released, that he was had escaped the prison, and that once now he was roaming around and was put in stone with other two others, knowing that his fate as now was a stone statue is considered maybe the best for the best to have his own brother in a stone rather than having a free to do anything he wants to. So considering from this view and from my point of view on this theory, if that his family that if T-Rex family were aware or not aware, I believe that both his parents and his brother was later on informed by Luna and Celestia and that they were later on aware about his deeds, what had happened to him. And all after this, what do I think about Tirek as a character itself? I mean, he's probably one of the best main characters of villains. But what he deserved that end up in a stone prison? I think yes. But anyways, what do you think about my theory that if T-Rex family were aware after he had put in prison? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, this is Switch W over and out.